JBNN keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones. Before we get into the news, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and to share the news with someone today. Now on to the news. House passes laws mandating up to 50 years in prison for killers. Legislative changes passed by the House of Representatives on Tuesday that will see convicted murderers being locked away in prison for up to 50 years has been lauded by a senior government official as a vital and deliberate response to the levels of violent crimes in the society. The amendments to the Offences Against the Person Act and the Criminal Justice Administration Act provide significantly higher mandatory minimum sentences for capital and non-capital murders. The changes come amid public consternation over perceived slap-on-the-wrist sentences meted out by judges.
New penalties for murder were passed in the House of Representatives yesterday. And so what was passed, and you have to really pay attention to this, there were amendments made to the Offences Against the Person Act, the Criminal Justice Administration Act, and the Child Care and Protection Act. These amendments represent a vital and deliberate response to the levels of violent crime in our society, particularly those involving the most heinous offense, which is murder. In respect of the Offences Against the Person Amendment Bill, for non-capital murder, the mandatory minimum sentence for imprisonment is now 30 years. That's 30 years for non-capital murder under the Offences Against the Person Act. For capital murder, we have increased the mandatory minimum sentence to be served before being eligible for parole from 20 years to 50 years. That is us saying that we are really serious on crime. We are saying that the victims of murder and of crime matter, and that the penalties have to be very, very strong. We've also seen under that same act, the Offences Against the Person Act, we're increasing the mandatory minimum sentence to be served before being eligible for parole, where the sentence is imprisonment for life. We're moving that from 15 years to 40 years. And finally, where a term of years has been imposed, the period that must be served before becoming eligible for parole is 20 years. In terms of the Criminal Justice Administration Amendment Bill, there were some amendments that were recommended here that have been passed and were passed yesterday, and it increases the term of years to be deemed as life imprisonment from 30 years to 50 years where the offense committed is murder. The starting point for calculating the reduction in the sentence is usually life imprisonment, and the aim of this amendment is to maintain an incentive scheme for defendants to plead guilty, but ensuring that the reduced sentence is not inordinately low. And so we know that we will still give that credit if you do plead guilty, but this term that is still served needs to be sufficiently long to serve as a disincentive for doing this. So the Prime Minister said this was a priority, and it is a priority, and we have done what we said we were going to do. No one can think that I can commit murder and I can go and cool out for a bit in jail and then come back out after 15 years or so and commit another murder. We are saying that is no longer the case. And we're very serious about this. We're very serious about preserving life. We're very serious about the rights of the victims. And the victims are often voiceless in what happens. And so this is us saying to Jamaica, we hear the cries of all of the people who have been victims and their families have been victims to murder. And we are very much saying to Jamaica, we will not stand for it, and the penalties demonstrate that.
Elderly man killed by a truck along Lakespen Main Road. Donovan Booth, a 60-year-old man of a Fairview address in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, died after being hit by a truck on the Lakespen Main Road at about 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday. Reports indicate that Booth was attempting to cross the road when the incident occurred. He was taken to the Spanish Town Hospital, where he later died from his injuries. The St. Catherine South police are investigating. Another stabbing incident at Irwin High. 2 male students of Irwin High School were reportedly rushed to the hospital after a stabbing incident at the institution on Tuesday. Reports are that the 2 students got into a physical altercation at the end of the school day, where they traded blows and slashes. Both students received injuries, but they are not considered serious at this time. This incident comes just a year after 15-year-old Irwin High School student Ranil Palmer was stabbed to death on Thursday, April 18, 2024, by a fellow schoolmate. Trelawney police theorized that shooting at a bar was a reprisal attack. The Trelawney police believe that the shooting of 3 men at a bar in Martha Bray on Tuesday night was a reprisal attack for the murder of 32-year-old Courtney Reed, also known as Stone, who was shot and killed at a garage in the same community earlier this month. Reports are that at about 9:15 p.m., 2 unknown assailants pounced upon patrons at a bar and opened gunfire. After the shooting, 3 men were found suffering from gunshot wounds and taken to hospital, where they were admitted for treatment. Command of the Trelawney Police Division, Superintendent Winston Milton revealed that the police are pursuing strong leads into Tuesday night's gun attack. We believe that this matter is connected to the shooting at the garage in the community earlier this month. We're pursuing some strong leads and hope to bring the matter to a closure in short order, Superintendent Milton said. Shortly after 9 a.m. on Friday, April 4, Reed had exited a vehicle had parked at a garage when he was attacked by unidentified assailants who shot him several times. He died on the spot. Family of man allegedly killed by cops last weekend joins JFJ in protest against police violence. The family of 20-year-old Shamar Riley joined Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, in a protest against police violence in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew on Tuesday. Armed with secretly recorded video footage, they claim shows the moments before his fatal shooting by the police last Saturday. Riley is one of 108 men reportedly killed this year during alleged confrontations with police. His family says the 1-minute video, now submitted to the Independent Commission of Investigations (INDECOM), contradicts the police's account of a shootout in Cockburn Gardens around 12:10 a.m. This is the footage that themselves a shootout, and the police them never know that the camera was there. You're going to see the officers coming after they already shoot him in the lane and was calling his father, a relative said. Have you ever seen a police walk down a gunman that his friend shots and is trying to apprehend? Another relative asked. According to the family, another person inside the house was recording when officers entered. That individual's phone was allegedly confiscated and has not been returned. The officers have been so cruel. Every day since the incident, they come to the area and just have pressure, and there's no justice. Who is telling the lie? The camera or you? The relative asked. Scores of protesters dressed in black turned out on Tuesday, calling for greater police accountability and the mandatory use of body-worn cameras during operations. JFJ Executive Director Michael Jackson described the protest as an opportunity for constructive dialogue amid national discussions on human rights and police conduct. It's a glorious opportunity for constructive dialogue, she said. Attorney at law Bert Samuels, president in support of JFJ and its mandate, criticized the rising number of police killings despite falling crime rates. My view is that persons should be taken before the court. They should not be executed by the police force. Secondly, that body cameras should be mandatory. Why do you need to put a mask on and refuse a camera if what you're doing is lawful? The reason why you don't want to wear a body camera and you put it on your mask with no numbers is because you're acting like a criminal, Samuels charged. He argued that police officers' reluctance to wear cameras suggests that they anticipate misconduct, adding, if they're under attack, the cameras will protect them. Any man who pulls a gun at a police officer, his body camera will explain why you had to kill him. The protests attracted current and former JFJ members, rights group, and members of the public. Tensions occasionally flared, with police intervening to separate opposing groups. Despite confrontations, the event was largely peaceful. Chang says under 600 murders possible this year. If the current trends continue, Jamaica could record fewer than 600 murders this year, according to Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang. He made the observation on Tuesday as he lauded the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF for a 36% reduction in murders this year when compared to last year. Chang, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister, was speaking in Gordon House, where he opened the 2025-26 sectoral debate. He highlighted that 187 murders were recorded in the first quarter of 2025, marking the third straight quarter of decline since the second quarter of 2024. Even more compelling, major crimes, murder, shooting, rape, robbery and break-ins have now fallen for 6 consecutive quarters, starting from Q3 of 2023, he said. When we examine the monthly murder count since July 2024, the trend line confirms a general steady decline in murders. So far this year, January 1 to April 27, there have been 227 murders. This represents 132 fewer lives lost, or 37% reduction compared to the corresponding period in 2024. Major crimes are down by 19% over the same period, added the security minister. If the current downward trend in murders continues, we're on track to record fewer than 800 murders in 2025. This would represent not only a historic low, but a major victory for every law-abiding Jamaican, he said. If we continue along these lines, we'll have under 600 murders this year. JBN will keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.